replacing the blade. I've got the blade on the wheels. I was on live a little bit earlier, but had a few little pieces of commotion here at the house that I had to deal with. So this is part two, basically. But I think part one might have gotten lost in the cloud. So this is, I guess, parts one and two. But if you're viewing and want to join in on the conversation, just go into the chat. Let me know where you're watching from, all that fun stuff. And I'm gonna try and get the chat up on the laptop here for anyone who wants to engage there. And you know what? Let me. I'm going to do this differently. Let's see, how do I get that to actually play? There we go. All right. And let me actually get the lapel mic on here so that you can hear me better. Hopefully that's a better audio quality. Let me know in the comments or the chat if that's better or not. And all right, so it looks like we've got things going there. All right, so previously removed the broken blade. I tried to take this table off, but I found that there's a bolt that's kind of inaccessible because I'd have to remove this casing here in order to get to it. Actually, yeah, no, can't really access it, so I am not going to remove the plate or the table. Thought that'd make it easier to access down here, but it's not really that accessible. I was struggling to get the blade on and to stick around, and so I just put a little bit of tape around the blade guards once I got the blade inside of there so that it wouldn't come out. Of course, then once I started swinging the blade around, I realized, hey, that's really easy for it to cut the tape. So maybe it's not the greatest method of keeping the blade in place, but it's somewhat effective for me so far. So my understanding is that the best way to position the blade is to have the teeth, or the edge of the gullet in the center of the wheel. And so I think I've got that pretty close. This is a really thin blade. It's just 1.8, or I'm sorry, it's just 1/8 of an inch. So I'm intending to use this blade for thin material that I want to do more intricate designs with. So I can do a very tight turn radius with this blade. This is not intended for resawing or thicker, harder material, because it's just not intended for that. So anyway, I'm going to, now that I've got it mostly in place, I'm gonna pull it off and then put it back on, and I'm just going to tension it up a little bit. Once I get it back mostly in place here. All right, I'm just going to tension that. So on this Craftsman, it has an indication here for a 1/8 inch blade. And then there's this little lever, I don't know how well you can see it there. It's just right back here that moves out as you tension. And so the tighter it gets, the more it moves out. But you have to tension it a bit before it really starts to move. And it is, it's not moving at all because right back here, it got stuck behind this little rim. So there's a little rim right here. Oh, you can hear it kind of pop in back there. Yep. So So there's a little piece there that extends beyond this bolt. And so that's what tells it how extended it is. Now it's going to move. So that right there is about as tensioned as it's supposed to be. So with that tensioned, I am going to roll this around, and let's just see how that's tracking. And that is rubbing. So this wheel is rubbing back there. So I'm going to adjust the tracking right here. Let's see. I'm going to adjust the tracking, hopefully without losing everything. So let's see which direction I need to go to. Yeah, all right. So we need to go clockwise in order to turn the wheel that way. So I want to bring this away from this side, and so I need to go clockwise to do that. So done that a little bit. So it's no longer rubbing. But let's just see where that is tracking now. So I'm going to do that a little bit more, because right now the blade, I don't know how well you can see this, but the blade is really close to the edge here. I want it moving a little bit that way. So I'm just going to do a quarter turn and just see how much it changes. And all right, so the blade's now right there. I'm going to turn another quarter turn and just see if I can get it a little bit more centered. That's pretty close. Oh, now it's rubbing a little bit right here at times. I'm going to back that off a little bit. I feel like it's not running true, that there's a little bit of wobble side to side, which I'm not excited about, but you know, it could be worse. I'm going to back it off a little bit more, just going counterclockwise a little bit more. And that seems to be tracking pretty close to the center. It's not rubbing here anymore. And if you're watching, why don't you just tell me where you're watching from? I'm in Idaho, in the good old United States of America. That's where I was born and raised. So beautiful place. If you have any questions about Idaho, you can throw them in there. If you have any questions about the bandsaw or the blade or whatever I'm doing here, feel free to throw those in the chat as well, and I'll try to take a peek at the chat periodically and let you know what's up. If you're viewing this after the fact and we're no longer live, just put it in the comments and I can answer your questions there. So let's see. We've got Dylan in here. Am I saying that right, Dylan? Dylan. I never remember how to say that. You can give the pronunciation in the chat, then maybe I can remember how to say it properly. You are watching from Michigan. Cool. Michigan, if I remember right, is in the Sweet 16. Michigan State, I think, is playing tonight. So if I don't know if you're a Michigan fan or a Michigan State fan, or maybe not a fan at all, I'm a BYU fan, and so I'm very pleased that my Cougars are in the Sweet 16. So if you are a fan of Michigan, maybe we'll meet at some point in the Final Four. That'd be sweet. All right, so that seems to be tracking pretty well now, and I am happy about that. And all right, so I'm going to take this tape off of here and move on to our next step. Don't follow basketball, but love football. Yeah, I'm a big football fan too. Love my Cougars there as well. Yeah, basketball is not for everyone. I enjoy it. I like playing it. I like watching it. So yeah. All right. So there are two main things that I want to do on both the upper guide and the lower guide. The lower guide is probably going to be a little bit tougher for you guys to see. And I'm going to adjust the camera a little bit so that maybe you can see, whoa, maybe you can see the upper guide a little bit better. And we'll try and get a little closer here. There we go. All right. And all right. So here's the guide. So I want to take this this piece right here, and I want this to end up being just a hair behind the blade. And then there are two pieces right here that I want to be just next to the blade. All right. So those will help to guide the blade so that it is nice and clean. Oh, you drink the sparkling ice too? You know what? I've tried a lot of the the sparkling, low calorie, 0 calorie drinks, and this is the only one that I can actually stand. Right? So not sponsored, of course, because yeah, wouldn't mind it. And these Starburst flavors are actually pretty yummy. I first tasted these on a trip a little while back, and the Costco started carrying them, and I like them. So anyway, sparkling ice is yummy. All right, so I am going to loosen this guy, and you see right now it is not touching. As I move the blade, it's not spinning that bearing. I don't want it to spin the bearing, but I want it to be as close to spinning the bearing as possible. So let me remind myself which one I need to adjust here, because all right, so this is the knob that I need to turn to adjust the distance here. And let me show you as close as I can. All right, so this is the knob, and that knob interacts with this piece right here, which moves this guy forwards and backwards right there. And as you can see right now, there's a gap between the blade and that bearing, and I want that gap to be minuscule. All right, and so there's a set screw that prevents me from being able to adjust this, right? So I can push as hard as I want right now, that's not going to go anywhere. Or I can try and pull it back, it's not going to go anywhere. So I have to remember where that set screw is, and I think it's right here, right on this back side. And so I'm going to loosen that. And then that should allow me, yep. So then you can see I can push it forward, and see now that's touching the blade, and I don't want that. And so now I'm backing it off. And so now there's a small gap. And I'm going to move the blade and see if it moves this bearing or not. And I want to move it until it is, oh, I'm moving the wrong one there. Okay. So I want to move this guy forward until it's just kissing it. There we go. So it is, just keep micro adjusting here as I spin. And feels like it, oh, there we go. So then it's just touching a little bit, right? And so it's moving it just barely a bit. So then I want to back it off so that it stops, spinning at all, right? So now it's not touching at all. So now the blade should be able to spin freely as the motor's powering it through. And so, but then when I put a workpiece through, it'll start putting some tension on that. And then with the tension, it'll back up against that. So let's see. Oh, you're drinking the orange Starburst now? Sweet. Yeah, this is the strawberry. Whoa, this is the strawberry flavor. So good stuff. All right. All right. So I think I'm in a good spot there. So I go all the way around. It's not moving. There's just a tiny little gap. All right. So now I am going to tighten this set screw back up and call that good. And then I'm going to move on to this lower one. Okay. So just like the guy up here, and I'm actually going to move this guy up. So give myself a little bit more room to work with. And actually, let me see if that changed anything by moving him. Let's see if this guy's going to spin now that I've moved him up. It shouldn't, but sometimes things have some variance in the various planes. So, all right, seems to be working fine. And all right, so then down below, right, we've got another one. And I'm calling it a bearing. That's probably the wrong terminology. I don't know what it's supposed to be called. But this guy similarly needs to be just behind him. Well, this guy similarly needs to be just behind the blade, but you can maybe see that there's a bit of a gap there. And there's a set screw right there that I'm going to loosen. Okay, so that's loosened. And then underneath, there is a piece right here. I think this one right here. So there's two knobs down there, right? But this is the one that I need to adjust to move that guy back and forth. So let me do that. And all right, so now I'm moving him forward. So now he's making contact. That's as far forward as he goes. So then if I back him off a little bit, all right, so now there's a little bit of a gap. So I'm just going to do the same thing I did before, but on this lower one, if I can reach around properly. All right, I think I can do that. All right, let's see if I'm going the right direction here. Yeah, I am. Hey, sometimes when you're turned around, it's hard to remember which one is tighty and which one is loosey. And I'm not talking about loosey in the sky, nor am I talking about diamonds. Just talking about which direction to turn the screw, the bolt, the nut, anything. So that seems to be working okay. It won't actually go any further. That shot probably gives you a nice view of why they call me pelado. For those of you that are unaware, pelado in Spanish means bald. It was a nickname that I got as a missionary back in my mission days when I was 19 or 20 years old in Argentina. And kind of stuck with me because, well, I liked it, kind of. I've always been follically challenged, so to speak. So I've enjoyed having a nickname that identifies with that, right? All right, so that's probably good enough for now. And so now I'm going to move on to these side guides, all right? So show you again here. There are two little things on the side that I never remember the names. And there's a set screw on either of these. I'm going to take the focus, the autofocus really likes it when I have my hand in front there. And once I loosen it, you can see I can kind of push those to the side, and they're just these little cubes that stick in there. And so I want those to be as close to the blade as possible, but without touching. So if it's touching, then it's going to generate a lot more heat, and that can make the blade fail, I've been told. And I don't like failing blades. I don't really like much of anything that fails. when you get right down to it. So let me see what, let me see if I can get those any closer than that. Let's see. It doesn't look to me like they're touching, but I don't know if I can get them any closer without them touching. Let's see. You know what? I think that is pretty good. I'm just going to nudge this a tiny bit each way just to make sure that it's not touching. I can't really see any contact, but I just want to make sure it's not touching. I'd rather have a little bit of wiggle than, you know, and not have it as close as it needs to be, than have it too close and actually touching and generating heat and damaging the blade. So, all right, that seems to work. All right, so now we'll come down to this lower one, and it is pretty similar. And let's see if I can get that on camera. So it's right here, so it's pretty dusty, dirty, but I'm going to try to do the same thing on the lowers as I did on the uppers, and give you a shot from up here. So it's right here and right here are the set screws that I'm going to adjust. And I'll just put the tripod on the ground here and maybe give you a shot up into there. So maybe you'd be able to see that a little bit. Whoa. And there we go. Actually, I think I can increase the height a little. Might make it a little better. All right. So here are the set screws right here. And it might be easier to use the short end. Gives me a little bit more leverage. That feels like it's not actually loosening, which, oh, you know what? Oh, you know what? I forgot a piece. And now that I'm remembering, I think we need to do the same thing up top. But since we're already positioned down here, I'm going to adjust down here first, and then we'll come back and adjust up top if I remember. If I don't remember, please remind me in the chat. In fact, remind me in the chat right now anyway, so that I'll remember. Even if I don't remember now, I can remember later and come back and do it. All right, so I want the blade, the base of the gullet to be just in front of these little guides, right? These little cube guides. Right now, these guides are way behind the blade. And so I need to move this whole assembly forward so that the front of this cube is just behind the base of the gullet on that guy. I also need to get this guy loosened somehow. But it seems to be stripped out a little. So hopefully I can, yeah, he doesn't seem to want to move. So that is disconcerting because it feels a little stripped. So I might need to do something different there in order to make that work. All right, so let me find the set screw that will allow me to adjust this guy. Looks like he's right here on top. So let me show you that. Oh. So I think this is the set screw that I need to loosen to be able to move this whole assembly forward. And this might give you a little bit better angle on seeing how the cubes are completely behind the blade, whereas I want the front of that cube to be just behind the base of the gullet. So let me see if that works. So, all right. So just loosened that set screw. And all right, so that is now moving forward. All right, and I'm able to move him so that he's well in front of the blade. So, here's the front of the blade, the front of the teeth, and the front of this cube is well in front of the front of the teeth right now. It's not what I want, but I was just curious how far forward it would go. And it goes a fair amount forward. So I'm just adjusting him back now. And let's see, that looks, I want more light. Let me get some more lights on over here. And let me grab a flashlight from over here and see if I can get a little bit better definition on what exactly is going on right there. So, all right, I need to back it off a little bit more still. And that, I think that is just about right. Okay, so I am now going to lock that set screw back so that I'm not adjusting that guy forward or back anymore. All right, so he is locked down. All right, so with him locked down, now I can adjust and take off the strobe on that light, on the flashlight. All right, now I can adjust the cubes, except I can't adjust this cube because I can't get this set screw undone because of it being stripped. So let me try a slightly bigger Allen key. I doubt this will work. Yeah, it's way too big. So I might have to do something different there. It looks like it's going to be okay with how it's currently positioned. I don't think it's, yeah, it doesn't look like it's rubbing. It just won't give much support there. So, all right, so I'm just going to adjust this side. And all right, now that he's adjusted, I'm going to lock in this set screw and see if that works how I want it to work. Hey, you want to be on camera? Everyone's doing it. Okay. All right, so that might be a reason to cut this off a little early, but looks like we're getting close to done, but might have to end the live stream a little early. So, all right. It's all good. All right. You don't want to be on camera? All right. You're sure? Everyone's doing it. My sweet recently turned 17-year-old daughter is in the room, but doesn't want to be on the live stream. Okay. Say hi. Okay. I guess I can get her little hand, but let's see. All right. Moving right along, we've got, all right, so I'm going to come back to this part because, as I mentioned before, I need to adjust how far forward or back this is. So it looks like the set screw is right there. And okay, so it looks like that brings it back. And wow, that has a lot of movement back and forth there, which is maybe just because of how far out the set screw is. Let me tighten that down a little bit and see if I can get that a little bit more. Well, it feels like that's stripping too. So that's exciting. All right. That's going back. This is going forward. And all right. And let's see. That is just about where I want it. So then tighten that guy down and hopefully, oh, yeah, it's stripping. So yeah, I might need to do something different with these set screws. Just trying to push really hard as I turn, but yeah, it still feels like it's stripping, but feels like that's locked in enough. So hopefully it doesn't really matter. And then let me see if that is touching now or if I need to adjust that again. I'm gonna check it anyway, because we made some other adjustments there. And this guy. Okay. And just a little bit of space, and then I'll close it all up. Oh man, this set screw wants to strip too. I wonder if I'm using like the metric and I'm supposed to be using the SAE. And maybe that's why it's stripping out and then locking in. Don't know why it would. Oh geez, that guy does not want to release. There we go. Man. I feel like I must have bumped it too much that way. All right. All right. So that looks like it should work. All right. So I've got the blade in position. I've got the bearings back here in place. I've got these moved in the right position. I've got the cubes in the right position. As I mentioned at the beginning, I tried loosening this guy, or tried to remove this guy, but couldn't because of a bolt that's in there. But now I'm going to put things back where they're supposed to be. So I've got one screw that goes in right there. And let's see if that's lined up where it's supposed to be. Yeah. That must be taking a bit to lock in. I'm not sure if that's going to lock in because that's in pretty deep already and doesn't really seem to be doing anything. Let's see if maybe I should have started with the bolts instead of the Allen key. Okay, well, seems to at least be stopping it from moving. So get the bolts here. And you know what? I think that is not how I'm supposed to do it. So let me vacuum off a bit. And get these bolts positioned. And let me back up a little bit here so you can see a little better. Oh, so cover the camera. All right, so I'm just tightening these bolts right here. I'm going to get the socket wrench to make the job a little easier. Yeah, I guess I should hand tighten it all the way before I try using the socket wrench. There we go. And sorry if there are any autofocus errors. And get this guy tightened. I'm on video right now, sweetheart. All right, I'll be there in a little bit. Sounds like my live stream needs to end here pretty soon. And am I going? Got distracted and oh, you know what? I've got. I think my problem is that I've got that Allen key in there blocking the bolt from coming up. So I am gonna back him way off. And then see if that will allow me to Is that just not, he just does not want to catch in there at all. I feel like maybe I've got him off center a little or something. Yeah, so he is not catching, so I need to loosen these other guys up. I thought he was the best one positioned, but seems like he wasn't positioned at all. Yeah, this is great. Love it. You know what? I'm gonna fix that another time. So All right. It's coming over here. So the table is mostly staying in place. And let's see if I plug this guy in and turn him on, if things work properly or not. So put on some protective equipment and stand way back. And that seems to have tracked okay on both the upper and the lower. And seems like it's still in good position. And so I think that's, I think we're good. So I am calling it stops.